Hi and welcome everybody. I'm really happy to see you all here. And I want to take a moment to actually mention that and emphasize on this as well. I know Black Hat is crazy. Las Vegas is crazy. Black Hat is maybe a bit more crazy than Las Vegas is. And still you made the effort to come here. So firstly, thank you for being here. We're going to talk about the attacker's advantage in our session today. I have good and bad news for you. So there's essentially no other session after this session in this room today. So I can go on forever. Like we can take the time, like seriously. The good news though is there is apparently lunch being served in this room after my session. So I'm in between, well, I'm in between you and lunch, like a late lunch, but still. I'm planning to run around 20 minutes, give and take. I will be sticking around the room after the session as well, in case anybody has any questions. Obviously, we'll have a booth as well, and I'll mention a few details around this as well. So feel free to approach me after the session in case there are questions. Well, let's get going. The attacker's advantage. I want to show you how we at XM Cyber unmask attack path for preemptive exposure management. Now, we're going to talk about all of the different things in that just mouthful of sentence. Attack path, preemptive exposure management, what does it all mean? That will be the session goal for today. My name is Toby. I'm the VP of Global Sales Engineering at XM Cyber. Been with the company now, give and take, 4.5 years. Usually when I talk to organizations, I really like that phrase, I come up with the problem of the illusion of control. We all have invested in a lot of security controls over the past years, maybe even decades. We all buy more security controls. We all buy more tools to make us more secure. And we kind of have that illusion that we are controlling our environment, where in fact, we are actually not really. We are not really in the way that attacks still happen. I mean, let's be honest, if I go onto a newspaper website today, I'll most probably read about a new breach here and there and everywhere, likely every single week or even every single day. And there's a huge problem with the approach and the illusion of control. And think about this. Traditional tools, traditional approaches just basically show you a long list of vulnerabilities, a long list of problems that you need to fix in your own environment. But none of these tools, none of these traditional approaches really show you how security problems, and let's just stick with the example of vulnerabilities, how they are chained together, how they are being exploited all together in order to form an attack path. When we speak about vulnerabilities, don't forget about cloud environments. There is no CVE involved in a cloud environment. It's all configuration, right? We're still thinking a bit in a siloed way. And this is, in a way, it is debatable, but think about this statement as well. The real threat isn't necessarily a CVSS 9.8 vulnerability in your environment. That's just a matter of fact, right? There is a vulnerable machine in your environment. But without context, without really understanding what that risk is or what the impact is, you can't really say something about it. The problem is really about the stuff that we usually don't know. It's about the hidden attack path within the environment. It's escalating its privileges from a standard user into a domain admin without even touching a single vulnerability. And yet we all suffer from problems around unmapped internal systems, legacy assets in your environment, excessive privileges in a way that I assigned somebody a role like 5 years ago, and that guy is still working with that role just because he needs that elevated access every now and then. And we still live with that. That's a huge problem in our environments these days. And hoping that existing security controls will stop an adversary, will stop an attack, isn't the real strategy. It's hope. And why are we trusting and hoping on that? That doesn't make any sense. It's not foundational decisions that we can drive from that. Without the full visibility in how an adversary moves through your network, be it on-premise, be it cloud, be it hybrid, it doesn't matter, whatever type of exposure is involved, without that visibility, you're basically acting blind. And last, I'm going to take an example on this as well. We use silo technologies for siloed teams for different parts of the environment in pretty much siloed processes. And that is a bold statement, but think about this. You all run organizations. There's likely a vulnerability management team or a vulnerability management analyst, whatever the name of that role is. He owns a tool, a vulnerability management tool, and he scans with that tool a certain part of the environment, let's say the servers, every week. That's commonly what I'm seeing. In a process that is called vulnerability management process, that lives in its own silo. That is not connected to, let's say, the Active Directory problems. It's not connected to the cloud problems. It's just basically just a little silo of one guy or of one team running a dedicated tech in a dedicated process. It's disconnected. And all of these problems lead to the illusion of control. We think that we have the control of our network, but in fact, when it comes to security, we don't. I want to show you how exploiting the enterprise looked today from a reality perspective. What I've brought you is a very simple attack path from left to right, from in this case, a standard user out of Active Directory who got maybe compromised through the darknet, through a darknet leak, into navigating and escalating its privileges through Active Directory, through exploiting clients, ultimately ending up in an S3 bucket, which is my critical asset in my case. That's a cool attack path. It's not super sophisticated. A real pen tester, a real red teamer, real offset guy will not need a lot of time to find these problems. But you all know how we try to tackle these? We have a tool that runs AD security. We have a tool that runs client security. We have a tool that runs IAM security. And we have another tool that is just called cloud security. It is super disconnected. It doesn't make any sense because we look into a long list of stuff that is not interconnected, that is not connected to each other. We're trying to put that data together in aggregators, but we're not seeing the full impact of an attack in our environment. So let's park that aside. I'm gonna wait for you to take that photo. That is okay. But let's actually park that attack path aside for a moment. We need to rethink the entire approach. When I speak to companies, very often actually, security teams essentially just have stopped believing that their defenses are solid. Even though there is that illusion of control, companies and especially security teams would say, yeah, you know what? We have defenses, but likely will not really manage through an incident. And it is all down just because they know that the existing approach will not uncover all of the different hidden attack paths, the one that we just saw as an example. So we got to really think and be honest to ourselves. We need to change the approach from coming of that siloed aggregation of data into a more holistic approach, into an integrated approach versus running this mode that I've just shown you. This is exactly where we come into play. What we as XM Cyber do is basically, I like to call it, create the map of possible within your on-premise network, but also cloud network. We basically understand with our tool, with our platform, how an attacker can move from A to B to C. Every possible step that an attacker can take, we map that continuously, 24/7. Even if you change a configuration tomorrow morning, we'll pick that up, we'll show that. If you close the firewall, that's cool, we'll show you what's the impact of that in your environment when it comes to attack path. We do that always with targeting the critical assets in your environment. And in our example, you see that on the right-hand side, it's the SAP systems, it's the PCI environment. These are our crown jewels. We've got to make sure that these are protected. And we use that to understand whether any attacker, be it from the external world, be it from the internal world, is able to reach these crown jewels. We'll unmask all of the different attack paths, no matter how big the environment is, no matter how versatile the environment is, no matter how dynamic the environment is. We then go ahead, and once we understood all of the exposures in your environment, we'll go ahead and prioritize these for you. We prioritize these for you by the attack potential, not just by simple standards like the CVSS, because again, it misses the context. We go ahead and understand that, there's lower rated vulnerability combined with an Active Directory misconfiguration, combined with an cloud misconfiguration, leads to my SAP server being compromised. That's a huge problem. But understanding and using that model helps you to prioritize the real things and the real risks in your environment. We then go a step further. What we then do is basically, we check the environment and detect so-called choke points. Choke points is a term that we've been using since years. And basically a choke point, I'm going to mark them for you in green real quick, is all of those convergent points in your network where most of the attack vectors and the attack path go through. If you cut the choke point, if you fix that one machine marked in green, you're going to cut all of the different attack paths. And even without touching your critical asset that you are not allowed to patch anyway, you protect those critical assets just by fixing the choke point. That is giving you the best return of invest that you can have when it comes to remediation efficiency. Focus on what matters, and this is all around the choke points. We do that by actually giving you the full insights on how to fix problems. I guess we all know that situation. There is a new exposure, there's a new problem in our network, we gotta fix this. What if I don't know how to fix it? What if I don't know how to fix that specific problem that might exist in a cloud environment? No worries, because we got your back. We will provide you a step-by-step guidance on how to fix a specific exposure. And the beautiful thing about this, we not only provide you one option, we provide you alternatives. If you can't patch that server because you got to wait a week or 2 weeks for that maintenance window, well, what about changing this configuration or that configuration? We'll provide you with all of that insights and actually show you on how to fix the security problems with all of the alternatives. Of course, in order to support your internal processes that are already existent, we seamlessly integrate with the ITSM tools of the world, with all of the cloud security and cloud providers to make sure that we fully understand your environment and how an attacker is able to exploit that. Remember the attack path that I just showed you a bit earlier. Again, that user that is able to escalate its privileges through the network, navigate into a client, find AWS access keys on that client, and compromise the S3 bucket. It's the holistic approach that makes us different. We're not integrating other data set. It's our data. We put that all together. We understand the relationship between entities and how they can impact themselves and others in the network so that we understand how an attacker is able to compromise your critical assets, be it your SAP environment or be it an S3 bucket in the cloud. It doesn't matter to us. We'll support them all the way. With XM, once you've implemented it, and the time to value is super quick. It might look like a huge thing, but it's actually super quickly to be done. But what you get as an outcome, very, very straightforward. You're preventing high impact attacks. You do this by using our digital twin model. Now, our digital twin model runs continuously without any impact on your production environment. We give you all of those insights without you noticing XM Cyber is actually even running in your environment. There is no real exploit happening in the environment. We all do that in the digital twin that we host for you, that we are continuously updating. Obviously, you will gain remediation efficiency. If, let's just say on a Friday afternoon, you have time to fix one thing, apply the choke point principle and you will get the best ROI in terms of remediation that you can ever imagine. And lastly, and I think this is super important, if you are a CISO, if you are working for a CISO, if you're part of the security team, it doesn't matter. But with XM Cyber, you can actually report on meaningful risk. What I mean by that, we're not measuring a long list of vulnerabilities. We're not giving you, here's another 20,000 problems to fix, go do that. And you're not going to get a tap on the shoulder because you just fixed 2 problems or maybe 3 problems. With XM Cyber, you'll be able to tell the board, the CISO, the security management team, What's the impact of not fixing a problem? Imagine you can go out and say, listen, I can't be fixing that and that problem because I don't have the resources, Mr. Manager. But the impact of that is that the SAP environment is at risk. That resonates so much better than just saying, you know what, we got to fix those 2 vulnerabilities out of 200,000 or whatever the numbers would be. You're reporting meaningful risk always to provide also a common understanding of risk to the business. So what I would like to invite you is, let's uncover the breaches that we've seen in quite a lot of environments. And I really like this tagline. Think about this. Behind every single breach that you've all seen, be it from yesterday, be it from 5 years ago, be it from 20 years ago, it doesn't matter, there's always a single path. That's all it takes. A single path, a single misconfiguration, a single problem chained together. So what I'm inviting you is either after this session right away or over at our booth, actually let's uncover the problems in your environment. Let's work together to improve the security posture in your environment. We have, in our booth, we have hands-on experiences with real attack path out of our environment. We'll show you how to, even the example that I just showed you earlier, we can go through the details of that. It's a prime example of why current approaches to security actually fail and how we can help you. You will learn how to prioritize risk-based on attacker's logic. And you can see our exposure management platform all in action. We are down at booth 5439, and let's really talk about a proper strategy when it comes to cybersecurity and not just yet another tool that throws a long list of problems at you. Let's talk about how we're going to help you and support you in order to come up with the real defense strategy in your environment. I'm going to stick around in this room for a couple of questions. So if anybody has a few questions, I'm happy to take them straight away. If not, and you want to have that lunch, I get that, that's fine. I'm also hungry. We can meet later at the booth or tomorrow as well. I'm going to be there tomorrow all day as well as my team. And I want to thank you for being here. Thank you very much for coming over. And I hope you found that session insightful. Again, feel free to come up with any questions after the session. Thank you very much.